Okay, are we ready? Our magician technician.
Audience, are you ready?
Yeah.
Yes. Very good.
So that's at least a sign. Right. So welcome everyone, and this midterm state-of-the-art network event called Seaside Arts and Low-TROPHIC Imaginaries, organized actually locally by the Post-Humanities Hub with its tentacle, the Eco and Bioart Lab. And my co-pilot, as you see. So for those of you who don't know, and I'm guessing that most of you in the room already know, a state-of-the-art network was initiated actually in 2018 at that time and in that moment by the Independent Air organization from Denmark, and together with the Bioart Society, the Post-Humanities Hub, and at that time Laboratory for Aesthetics and Ecology, actually initiated of work with artists and researchers focusing on questions of art and the Anthropocene, and anything that might be sort of coming with that thematics. And so Post-Humanities Hub, Bioart Society, Laboratory for Aesthetics and Ecology kind of took part in the curating of event in Silkeborg in 2018, where my collaborators, Cecilia Osberg and Jana Holmstedt, who is actually sitting in the audience, so maybe she will kind of soon jump in front of the camera and wave to all of you, were very kind of intensely involved. But since then, actually, state-of-the-art network, especially the steering group behind the state-of-the-art network, has been really sort of, brewing magical things. And actually not that long time ago, in 2020, we received fantastic information that there came funding from the Nordic Culture Point, Nordic Culture Fund, and A.P. Møller Foundation that actually would allow us to create, even further collaborations across the Nordic region and the Baltic region, with different organizations and sometimes researchers working with precisely questions of artistic research and questions related to, the kind of planetary environmental disruption. And the kind of baton was really has been led since then by the Bioart Society. So, we are, of course, thankful for our amazing, leading collaborators enabling this, and of course being here in the room. So big hi to everyone from Bioart Society right now as well. And now we are actually halfway through the project. This actually autumn season, the Post-Humanities Hub has been engaging very much with questions around the sea and marine ecologies, questions of extinction and livability, non-livability, toxicity around the sea. And we have in the room right now here in Ornö, because of course I forgot to say that we are actually physically in Ornö on the island in Stockholm Archipelago, and we have fantastic team of people working in very different ways with precisely marine ecologies, questions of toxicity, the sea, livability, ecology, modern human ethics, modern human relations, and so on and so forth. Okay, but why sort of, the topic seaside arts and low-trophic imaginaries, and we should say that we are kind of dragging the concept of low-trophic theory that we have proposed, Cecilia and I, in some of our writings not long far time ago, that actually really, takes inspiration from low-trophic organisms in a sense and ecologies around the coastline in different places, and tries to think about, how those ecosystems can inspire us to rethink also our own being in the world, and what kind of environments, organisms, creatures, ecosystems we actually consume, but also what kind of knowledges do we consume? Like what does it mean, and what kind of power relations are also embedded in that consumption. So that's why, the kind of term low trophic, if you are more into that theoretical bent, of course, you are more than welcome to, read a little bit and dig in that vein. But this also, inspired us to bring really, those kind of marine ecosystems to the very center of this event. And also, we have been sort of inspired by a longer work earlier with also the Kelp Congress that took place in 2019 in Lofoten, and look very closely, at the kind of environmental engineers, right? Namely the kelp forests, the seaweeds, the algae, and what is it really happening in this kind of marine rack zone and the kind of boundary between the sea and the land, and also low trophic species. Yes, and here we actually gathered scholars, artists, writers, really working very much with the algae, with the rack zone, with the kelp forests. And we hope to brew even more, fantastic things. So in that sense, we are really looking very much at both, marine ecologies and the kind of multi-species futures at the edge of the Baltic Sea, as we are also located right now here in Ornö. Yes, and I'm thinking I might actually pass my baton to Cecilia, who will actually say a few words about actually who we are, maybe more specifically. So this information comes, as the last one, and tells also a little bit about our joint work in the Post-Humanities Hub, the Bioart Lab. Okay, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Marietta. I will just say a very few words about the Post-Humanities Hub for those of you who don't know what that is. But basically, the Post-Humanities Hub is a partner and co-PI of the SOTA network. And it's also a long-standing feminist research group and a multi-university platform for what we call more than human humanities. It brings arts and science to the humanities and transformational insights to the people. In the interface of Swedish international networking, the hub has pioneered all kinds of feminist cyborg studies, techno-humanities, environmental humanities, medical humanities, multi-species humanities, you name it, humanities. And recently we have taken a turn towards the marine fringes. And with the hub, we are fostering all kinds of doctoral careers, academic activism, and societal commitment. And the hub has recently also spawned no less than 2 subgroups whose leaders are here with us today. One of them is the Eco and Bioart Lab. And one of them is Humus Economicus, and you will meet Jana tomorrow. But let me tell you about these mysterious people that have been pointing in all kinds of weird directions for you. Well, the main curator of this event is Marietta Radomska. And Marietta is an assistant professor in environmental humanities at Linköping University. And she's also the director of the newfangled Eco and Bioart Lab. So also a co-director, of course, of the Post-Humanities Hub and co-founder of the Queer Death Studies Network. And as many of you already know, Marietta, you know that she's working in the intersection of feminist post-humanities, environmental humanities, continental philosophy, feminist theory, and of course, queer death studies, visual culture, and contemporary art. And if you're really curious about more recent publications, you should check out Australian Feminist Studies, Somotechnics, or Women and Gender Research. There is a long presentation here. I'm Cecilia Åsberg. I'm a professor at Linköping University with a wonderful chair titled Gender, Nature, Culture, which is basically the world and everything. And I'm also the founder and director of the Post-Humanities Hub. I would also like to draw your attention to the woman coming up tomorrow. And I'm looking at her now here in the room. And the third curator of this event, namely Janna Holmstedt, a PhD in transdisciplinary artistic and environmental humanities. She is, and also co-founder of the art collective part of the Biomass, and the initiator of the art and research project Humus Economicus at the National Historical Museums in Sweden. That focuses on radically altered human-soil relations and soil as multi-species activity zone. Actually, Janna works across various media in collaborative processes and with a particular interest in listening and storing as situated practices. Dolphins, maize, earthworms, and bladderwrack has all been important companion species on the explorative journeys of Janna. And I would also like to point to that this event is being documented by the fabulous, and you don't know it, but I'm looking at her right now, by the fabulous Karin Wegsjö, to whom we would really like to extend our warm thanks for documenting. And I think we have said a few words about the people that are organizing this. Perhaps should we introduce briefly the people on location?
I'm wondering if this is done maybe when they
speak.
But maybe we could say a few words if I can, manage to actually share right now with you the program and, just really very quickly walk through it. So let me just, share the screen with you. And that's, kind of, I hope that I'm just gonna, quickly look what's up here. Okay. Yes. So as you see, the program is really 2 day long, so to speak. So today, we are starting, of course, with this introduction, and in a moment, we'll move to the sort of like performance, panel focused on seaside arts with 3 different perspectives, from researchers, artists, curators, that are precisely, exploring the thematics around marine ecologies in very different ways and, different approaches, and, that could perhaps also engender different imaginaries about the sea, especially with the kind of, very experimental bent on, methodological bent, so to speak. And subsequently, we'll have a little break, to refresh ourselves a little bit. Those of you who are in the room, who are members of the SOTAN network, we will meet for a kind of more internal, check-in on the project and actually, exchange of ideas around the project. So that's the kind of internal part. And then, so that means that, for those of you from the general public, you will have a little bit, more time to sort of, refresh yourselves, and we'll reconvene then at 6 p.m. With the general public and with everyone else for the fantastic highlight of also today, namely the keynote by Professor Stacia Limo from University of Oregon. And then, of course, we'll have, we'll move then to tomorrow. So the local team will have some, intense activities in the field. Let's hope, the wind and the rain won't sort of, influence us too much in those activities. And then we will actually convene on Zoom again at 2 p.m. for the wonderful panel Sea Gardens for Multi-Species Commons and Futures, with the fantastic speakers here in the room, but also 2 speakers on Zoom. So this will be, hybrid in the very literal sense of the word. And we'll have a little break, and then we'll run with the keynote by Anne-Marie Melster, who really, is also with us here in the room. And we are absolutely delighted to have you, my dear. Okay, and also tomorrow for the Stockholm members, for the partner organizations, we'll have also a kind of closing discussion or activity that is maybe less relevant for general audience, but very relevant for the network. Okay, now we have 10 minutes left. I think that we could perhaps the presenters here will quickly we'll reorganize ourselves in the space. I will maybe stop sharing my screen. So 5 minutes for organization, 5 minutes for me presenting you, unless you want to present the panel. And then we will run with first Andy Best and Maria Pustin, and then Jessie Peterson, and then Caroline Elg. So yes, the audience can just
watch us do musical chairs.
Yes, I think so. Okay, so see you in like 5 minutes.